Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we welcome a distinguished guest and indeed a good friend who is to receive an honorary degree of this university. I have great pleasure, therefore, in asking Dr. Derek Irwin to present Ms. Elizabeth Fu Yen Lee.
Provost, ladies and gentlemen, we could very easily describe the many roles through which Elizabeth Fu Yen Lee has served education in Malaysia. She's been described by her colleagues as a scholar, trailblazer, teacher, philanthropist, writer, friend, and sometimes even chef, although this last was a role she personally denied to me. Despite her denials, though, her culinary interest finds her serving on the National Council of the Confrérie de la Chaîne de Rôtisseurs Bailliage de Malaisie, where she is the bailli régional for the state of Perak. That aside, though, she's inarguably a leader in education, as for the last 22 years, she has helped to build a small college into a full-fledged university and has deeply affected education here in the process. Although born in Singapore, Elizabeth moved to Kuala Lumpur at the age of 2 and spent her earliest educational years at the Bukit Bintang Girls' School, where she's listed among the notable alumni. You might not have heard of this institution since it's now been replaced by the Pavilion Mall downtown. However, prior to its disappearance, it was the oldest school in KL, and its elite educational program was also made available to many of the girls who lived in that area. Those familiar with Bukit Bintang can imagine the mix of student backgrounds that were the result. It was this early experience in seeing the transformative power of education which has inspired Elizabeth to lead her colleagues to reach poor and disadvantaged students and create a number of different scholarship and outreach programs in her institution in the present day, for which she is justifiably proud. Now, aside from this remarkable philosophical base, there are many other reasons for nominating Elizabeth for the award of honorary doctorate. She has a wealth of experience as an English language teacher, specializing particularly in multicultural education. She's the writer and editor of a number of children's English storybooks for early language learning. And in a more purely scholarly bent, Elizabeth read for a Master's of Philosophy and Education at the University of Cambridge. And her Cambridge links see her actively involved in the Oxford and Cambridge Society of Malaysia, of which she is a past president and current executive committee member. She was also invited to be the regional coordinator of the Cambridge Society for the University of Cambridge. Now, the primary reason for her award today is the legacy that she's built in advocating education. Having helmed the educational division of the Sunway Group since 1992, she's been instrumental in its development from just one institution, namely Sunway College, to the present group, which includes Sunway University, Monash University Malaysia, Sunway College Kuala Lumpur, Sunway College Johor Bahru, Sunway International School, and the Sunway Le Cordon Bleu Institute of Culinary Arts. Under her guidance, the student numbers have grown from around 1,000 to 20,000 today. In terms of personal career highlights, she includes the point on 15 September 2011, where she received the Outstanding Asian Women Community Contribution Award from the Malaysia Women's Career Building Association, presented by the First Lady of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berbahagia Datin Paduka Seri Rosma Mansur. Elizabeth serves on a number of significant committees which have been tasked by the Malaysian government to chart the directions, strategies, and policies for higher education. Her appointments include the Ministry of Education's International Promotion Council and the Board of Advisors of the Institute Penyelidikan Pendidikan Tinggi Negara, or National Higher Education Research Institute. On the corporate front, she's a member on the Board of Management of the Master Builders Association of Malaysia Education Fund, and also on the Board of Trustees of Mercy Malaysia, which is the Malaysian Medical Relief Society. In March 2014, she was appointed as a member of the International Academic Advisory Council of the Jeffrey Chia Institute on Southeast Asia. And it was, in fact, Elizabeth who initiated the idea of setting up a University of Nottingham campus here in Malaysia back in 1997. And this is at least partially due to her personal connection to us, I would say. Indeed, Elizabeth spent at least part of her honeymoon in Nottingham as the personal guest of our former Dean of Engineering. Elizabeth is also frequently sought after for opinions by the print and electronic media and travels frequently for speaking engagements locally and internationally. Some of her recent invitations have been to speak at Harvard Business School, Oxford University, and the University of Edinburgh. Provost, to you and to this whole congregation, I present Elizabeth Fuyen Lee as eminently worthy to receive the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
By the authority of the University of Nottingham, vested in my office, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Thank you. We will now continue with the conferment. I now would like to call upon Ms. Elizabeth Lee to address the congregation. Ms. Lee.
Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Provost and CEO of the University of Nottingham, Malaysia campus, Professor Christine Enu, honorable members of the Council and Senate and faculty, distinguished guests and fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen, God-blessed afternoon. I'm humbled, deeply honored, and touched to stand here before you today. It is such a privilege to be accorded this honorary doctorate from a university that plays such a major part in harnessing the potential and developing the talent of hundreds of thousands of students and more from and in all different parts of the world. It feels tremendously surreal for me right now, as I have always sat on one of those chairs, witnessing the proceedings, listening intently to the acceptance speeches, but never imagining that the day has come for me to be on the receiving end. And what a tremendous honor it is to be receiving this honorary doctorate from one of the very fine universities I have held in the highest regard. Ladies and gentlemen, my foray into the education industry was deliberate. I love to teach and to learn. I love knowledge. I believed then, and now even more so, in the influence and power of education to make a real and positive difference in the lives of the people, the community, and to the nations. I realized that one does not have to be a world leader to change the world. Rather, one can be the force to shape leaders of tomorrow from the very classrooms which are intended to nurture such leaders. Note that our venerable Malaysian Prime Minister is a proud alumnus of Nottingham University. There lies my point. For what we teach our youth today will be the legacy they take with them into the future. As an educator, it is very satisfying for me to see my students succeed in their lives. It starts from the day they step foot hesitantly into the classroom till they take that walk across this stage with the confidence to face the world, much like all of us graduands today, taking that walk into the great, exciting, and unknown future that lies ahead. Our time at university is a time where eventually, but not easily, we figure out what and who we are and what's important to us. Growth is not an option, but no matter what, it sneaks up on us somehow. And without realizing it, we will see that the choices we make and the experience gained in turn light the way forward. And before we know it, we would have realized that, yes, we have grown. We have changed. We go through good times and bad times, but through it all, it is an adventure where lives are touched and turned around. We discover the people we can depend on, and we must remember to hold on to these people. They are most probably with you here today, as they are with me. And these are intricately woven patterns. The people, the days, the moments are such treasures we will never want to forget. And I assure you, dear friends from Nottingham, this is one such moment for me. Today is, I'm sure, for all of us present, a day that will be fondly etched in our memories for years to come. But our learning should not stop here. We must not think that this is it, the end. One should never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop moving from where we are. Earlier, I referred to the great, exciting, and unknown future. I wish to attest to you now that the first lesson to be learned is that the future is what you will make of it. You have goals, you have ambitions, you set the direction, you set the sails, and you take that journey, but not before you plan for the trip. In your preparations, you must picture the way ahead, survey the landscape, anticipate the pitfalls, and strategize on the best passage before you begin on that great quest. As for excitement, it will be as exciting as you make it out to be. Ladies and gentlemen, as students of Nottingham and all the other schools and sixth form colleges before this, you will have been imbued with appropriate tools, sharpened to take on the world. You have been empowered with the right knowledge. More importantly, you have been given an education. For I believe a good education is an investment in knowledge, and we all know that knowledge is power. But more fundamentally, knowledge is also the fuel to the survival of mankind, next to food. A society without education is like a world without light. Every child, regardless of background, must have access to education. Now you know why the great Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." It is our best weapon in abating levels of inequality, unemployment, and poverty, more so now in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, the early establishment of the University of Nottingham was the founding of an adult education school in 1798, and the university extension lectures inaugurated by my alma mater, the University of Cambridge, in 1873, was the first of its kind in England. Since then, many universities have been established. Like food, the appetite for knowledge never ceases. Here in Malaysia, the establishment of Sunway College in 1987 was in response to the nation's needs. We were in the midst of an economic meltdown, and overseas education became unattainable for most then. And I remember Nottingham's role in coming to the aid of Malaysia in as early as 1990, soon after twinning degree programs were established. As I look back, I feel most fortunate to have joined the education sector then, and to have been a part of the dynamic history in the making of private education in Malaysia, which in turn even impacted the world. You could say that world economy is unpredictable, and yet we all know that it comes and goes in a cycle, and we just have to prepare for it. You heard the cliche that change is the only constant, and hence we need to plan for the inevitable, unpredictable, and be ready to embrace the ride ahead. And come on, isn't the rougher ride the more exciting one? And so hang on tight and enjoy the adventure. Before I end, I would like to thank my family who are here to share my moment today, my wonderful parents and in-laws, my beloved husband and my dearest children for standing fervently behind me in my adventures, very often literally holding my bags, waiting for my return at the sides while I enjoy the roller coaster rides ever so often. You are the wind beneath my wings. My sincere appreciation to my mentors, friends, colleagues, and superiors, past and present, for having been such an integral part of my journey in life and in my education career thus far. I treasure your friendship and appreciate your support much more than you will ever know. I thank you, Nottingham University, once again for this great honor and recognition. It will further serve as motivation to me to contribute much more to education. As you can see, I do live, eat, and breathe education. It is a commitment, and for as long as I'm able, I shall and will continue to serve in education. I proudly but humbly stand before you to accept this honorary doctorate, which you have so kindly bestowed upon me. Thank you, and God bless us all.